If somebody dislikes you, they're not going to provide an objective reference for you, right? So it's not going to be an honest evaluation of your experience if they did not like you in your work experience. You want to choose people who are going to give an honest evaluation of your work experience. Okay.
Oh, nice, dishonest one.
All right. Yeah, so if some people will have 10 years of experience and they apply as an EIT. I don't know why. It's actually not something I would recommend. If you want the board to waive exams based on your experience, you need to apply for PNG, not a foreign licensee or EIT. They don't look at experience if you're applying as an EIT. So just reinforcing that same idea that I said, you need to contact your references. Begin locating these individuals, speaking with them, making sure that they're going to provide you with the reference that you need to register. Okay, Canadian experience requirement. At least 4 years of experience is required. And one of those years must be North American engineering, in most cases Canadian engineering experience, equivalent North American experience, in most cases Canadian experience. It must be, all of the years of experience that you supply must be referenced. So why? Why this 1 year of Canadian experience? It gets in a lot of people's way, right? This 1 year of Canadian experience is keeping me from my PNG license. A lot of people may see it that way. You know, engineering work experience in my country is strong. I did a lot of great work, and that's true. But there's a lot more to engineering work experience than just knowledge and experience. You know, you have to have knowledge of those codes and standards, right? Climate conditions can play a factor. Culture, ethics, business practices, work environment. I guess to reinforce this point, what is a PNG? What is a PNG designation? What does it mean? Professional engineer. But practically, what is it?
You know how to interpret various, you know, technical designs, to be responsible for your decisions.
He said to be responsible for your decisions. To be responsible for that work. The stamp. Okay, so when you're a PNG and you're stamping your work, you're saying, if this work has any issues, I'm the one.
Yep.
Right? If somebody gets hurt on this job, and I'm the engineer, come talk to me. Right? If something goes wrong in that project because of a mistake, come talk to me. If there's any legal things that happen due to the liability problems related to a project, I'm going to be involved. I am legally responsible for that project and that design and that engineering work. That's not something you want to jump into very quickly without understanding it, right? Right. If somebody dies on a job up in Fort McMurray and there's a plant disaster or some pressure vessel blows or something and a worker dies, what happens? If that plant is in operation and producing oil, it stops. They shut it down for the time that they need to investigate. All right? No oil is produced. All the profit, lost time, salaries, wages, insurance costs that will increase due to that accident, safety measures that need to be implemented, legal costs to defend that, repay and compensate the family of that worker, and the added attention and loss of reputation that company will receive due to the media attention that could be in up to the multi-million-dollar consequences due to an engineer's mistake. Okay? I've asked people in other, in some situations, there was a mining disaster in one country, and I asked an engineer in an audience one day, so there were 70 miners that died the other day due to an explosion. What happens now? They just pay the family $500. Right? That's not what happens in Canada. Everything gets investigated. It's a long process. It's a very stressful process, and everybody who's responsible for that will be held responsible. Okay? And it goes all the way back to APEGGA, right? Who licensed this guy? Right? So it's huge. This PEng is not just your ticket to a good job. Right? This PEng means you're responsible, and there's a lot of reward for that responsibility too, though.
How can you get that 1 year experience in Canada? Because nobody will employ you in that responsibility. You know, you cannot have it, right?
You can do that work under the supervision of a PEng, right? So that's what your PEng reference will say. He was working under me doing engineering work. A PEng will take that responsibility. He'll review your work and say, I'm responsible for this gentleman's work, and you can gain that experience. Yeah.
Is there any need to have this Canadian experience should have a specific class, and should it be continuous, or it can be?
It can be in different periods of time. Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be under a specific class or category?
It should be in a field related to your degree, and it should be at an engineering level. So containing most of those 5 components, right? You're making decisions, you're choosing and interpreting designs, and you're doing the engineering work involved, that kind of thing. One-year equivalent North American experience. This answers your question. It's not illegal to practice and gain experience as long as you're working under the supervision and control of a PEng. Postgraduate experience from a completed master's or PhD does not satisfy the 1-year Canadian experience requirement. So it is a part of that 4 years, but it doesn't count for the 1-year requirement. Is that clear? Okay. Acceptable experience can be obtained in a university setting, but it must be after the degree. Okay. So if you continue working for your professor doing engineering work after you've finished your master's, and you're doing engineering work, that can count.
So my question is that I'm in the 7th month in Canada, undergoing experience in Canada. So shall I apply just after 2 days, or shall I wait for 1 year and then apply?
So you have another 5 months, right?
Yes.
They're not even hard. They're barely going to look at your. They're barely going to look at it before 5 months.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter if you take the time to do your. To take your time and put this documentation in order. And you're going to have to pass the National Professional Practice Exam in any case, right? The Law and Ethics exam.
Yes.
You will have to take that exam before they give you a license. So you're not going to pass that NPPE before 5 months, is up.
Okay.
Yeah. So you might as well
apply
wait.
now, but our date, like the document that they will see is that I have 7 months of experience here,
Yeah.
but they won't be knowing that I'm still working under the same supervisor, or I'm still on job and going through experience. So some 5 months will be missing, and will they send a letter to me that provide
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah. They'll probably say, well, you still need 5 months.
Okay.
So what I was saying is that you still have to do the NPPE, and the Board of Examiners may not even look at your exams, or sorry, your papers before 5 months is up. So there's nothing wrong with waiting. You're not hurting yourself by waiting until you have 1 year.
Okay.
It's not going to make it any faster if you start now.
So that means what you want to tell me is I better wait.
You might as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Before, yeah.
The experience should be as an engineer or what?
It should be an engineering, at an engineering level. Yeah. So again, reading those 5 criteria on page 6 that I mentioned earlier, you should know the difference between engineering work and technologist work, or drafting, surveying, and those kinds of things.